I grew up thinking my family was typical. At 24, I saw us as normal, maybe not the warmest, but not cruel either. My parents provided for us, celebrated birthdays, and put on a polished, happy family facade for the world. Nothing suggested the dysfunction hiding beneath the surface. I have an older brother, Nathan, who's 28. A year ago, I'd have said we were treated equally or close to it. Now, I see how thoroughly I was misled. As a child, I noticed subtle wrongs, too small to make a fuss over. During sibling arguments, I was always nudged to say sorry first, even if Nathan started it or we were both to blame. If I stood up for myself, my parents labeled me defiant, too sensitive, or weak. When Nathan got into trouble at school, they'd leap to his defense, blaming teachers or saying he was just stressed. My mistakes, though, brought lectures about accountability. If Nathan forgot something, they'd rush to fix it. If I did, they'd sigh, urging me to be more responsible. These patterns threaded through my childhood, quiet but persistent. Nathan was a soccer prodigy, and my parents were consumed by his matches. Every weekend, they were there, cheering, arguing with coaches, fully invested. I was in the school band, but they never showed up to a single performance. When I asked why, they'd give excuses, too busy, too exhausted, yet they always had energy for Nathan's games. Eventually, I stopped asking. It wasn't worth the pain. Nathan treated me like an annoyance, not a sister. If I got a moment of attention, he'd scoff or sling a cutting remark. When I won a band award, he smirked, "Nobody cares about that." If I outdid him on a test, he'd break my pencils or mutter I'd cheated. He resented my existence, like I was stealing his shine. My parents never stepped in. They let it go, as if it were just how things worked. At family gatherings, they raved about Nathan's talent, his brilliance, his boundless future. When they spoke of me, it was always tied to him, how I was such a loyal sister, always there for him. My identity, to them, was being his support. I told myself it didn't matter, that some families just have a favorite, that it didn't mean they didn't love me. I thought I was overreacting. I wish I'd trusted my gut. Everything changed a year ago when Nathan was diagnosed with a kidney condition. My parents were devastated, and I was shaken too. He went through treatments, medications, the whole ordeal, but his health kept slipping. When doctors said he needed a transplant, their focus zeroed in on me. I'll never forget that hospital room moment. The doctor mentioned a donor, and my mom turned to me, eyes bright, saying, "Imagine if you're a match." She spoke as if it were already settled, like I was destined to save the day. My dad nodded, like it was obvious. Nathan barely looked up from his phone. I wasn't against helping. I didn't want my brother to die. But their instant assumption that this was my role unsettled me. They didn't ask how I felt or if I was okay with it. They just expected it. I agreed to the compatibility test to avoid a fight, secretly hoping I wouldn't match. But life doesn't bend that way. I was a match, and the second the results came in, it was like I'd already signed up for surgery. My mom cried with relief. My dad patted my back, saying, "We knew you'd pull through." Nathan just nodded, like it was owed to him. I felt sick. I tried to voice my concerns, saying it was a major decision and I needed time to think. My mom cut me off. "This is your brother, Lily. You don't hesitate for family." My dad laughed like I'd said something ridiculous. Think? What kind of person needs to think when their sibling's life is on the line? That's when I realized how trapped I was. I researched kidney donation alone. I knew it was serious, but I hadn't understood the risks, especially for me. I had health issues that made it complicated. My doctor warned that recovery wouldn't be simple. I'd be out of commission for months, and my body would never be the same. I'd face higher risks of kidney issues myself, and if my remaining kidney failed later, I'd be in serious trouble. Then there was the financial toll. With student loans and a job with no paid leave, donating would cost me my income, my stability, maybe my future. I'd be drowning in debt, all because my parents assumed I'd agree without question. What hit hardest was that neither my parents nor Nathan ever asked how I felt. They didn't check if I was scared or okay. They didn't say, "Lily, this is your choice, and we'll stand by you." To them, it wasn't a choice. It was my duty. I wasn't their daughter, I was their solution. I hoped if I explained my fears, they'd listen. So I sat them down and said, I don't think I can do this. The room went silent. My mom's face froze, like she couldn't process my words. My dad stared, confused, like I'd spoken nonsense. Nathan snorted, muttering, typical. I don't know why I thought they'd hear me. What do you mean you can't? My mom demanded, her voice sharp. I explained, my doctor says it's riskier for me. Recovery could take months, and I can't afford to lose work. My dad scoffed. People donate kidneys all the time. They're fine. I stayed calm. Not me. My health makes it different. My mom stood, her chair scraping. This is your brother's life, Lily. How can you talk about money? I wanted to yell, because it's my life too. But I didn't. Their faces hardened. I was the enemy now. Nathan rolled his eyes. Unbelievable. I turned to him. This isn't about you personally, Nathan. He cut me off. You're making it personal. You're choosing to let me die. That's not true, I said. I just need time. My dad's voice was cold. Time? This is your brother. He'd do it for you. I laughed bitterly. Would he? I looked at Nathan. If I needed your kidney, would you give it? He glanced at our parents, then muttered, that's not the point. Of course it wasn't. My mom's voice cracked, venomous. I can't believe you're doing this to us. The guilt trip began. My dad listed every cent they'd spent on me: school, clothes, doctor visits. My mom sobbed, repeating, how could you, like I'd betrayed them. They called me selfish, ungrateful, a failure. Then Nathan landed the final blow. You're useless when it matters, Lily. That hurt, not because I expected better from him, but because I didn't, and yet some foolish part of me still hoped. Something in me shattered. I said, I'm done talking, and headed for the door. My mom grabbed my arm, her nails digging in, her face twisted with rage. You're his sister, she hissed. You were born to save him. I froze. Her words hit like a punch. She let go, realizing she'd said too much. What? I asked. She stepped back, avoiding my eyes. My dad was silent. Nathan shifted uncomfortably. What do you mean, born to save him? No one answered. The silence roared. I looked at each of them, but they wouldn't meet my gaze. My mom muttered, you're overreacting, and turned away. But I wasn't imagining it. Something was deeply wrong. I don't remember leaving. I must have grabbed my things because suddenly I was driving, heart pounding, no destination in mind. Her words echoed, born to save him. Why had she said it like that? Why did they all react like I'd uncovered a secret? I ended up at my Aunt Claire's house, barely holding it together. She didn't pry, just hugged me and said I could stay as long as I needed. I didn't sleep that night. By morning, I was a mess, but I told Claire everything: the fight, my mom's words, their looks. I expected her to say I was overthinking, that my parents were just stressed. Instead, she sighed, rubbed her temples, and said, Lily, there's something you need to know. My stomach twisted as she hesitated, like she wasn't sure she should speak. Then she said, your parents didn't have you because they wanted another child. They had you because Nathan needed a bone marrow donor. I stared, waiting for her to say it was a mistake. She didn't. When he was 4, he got sick. They couldn't find a match, so they created one. My world spun. I wasn't born out of love or chance. I was a solution. My whole life came into focus, the ignored achievements, the constant second place, the way they ensured Nathan came first. It wasn't favoritism. It was deliberate. They'd raised me to think this was normal, never planning to tell me the truth. I couldn't speak. I'd spent my life chasing their approval, thinking if I did enough, I'd matter as much as Nathan. But I was never meant to. I was a tool, nothing more. Claire kept apologizing, like it was her fault for not telling me sooner. It wasn't. She hadn't built my life on a lie. The next few days were a blur. I stayed with Claire, ignoring my parents' calls and texts. Their messages started gentle, almost manipulative. My mom wrote that she knew I was overwhelmed, that she trusted I'd make the right choice soon. My dad's were blunt. We're here when you're ready. Family sticks together. Nathan, predictably, said nothing. He assumed I'd give in. A week later, when I didn't reply, Their tone changed. My mom's texts turned cold, calling me heartless for letting Nathan suffer. My dad dropped the act. You're hurting him for no reason. You'll regret this forever. I blocked them. I thought that would be the end. But the silence felt heavy, like a storm brewing. Then one Tuesday night, it hit. I got pulled over on my way to work. I wasn't speeding. My car was legal. I wasn't distracted. But the officer didn't care about traffic laws. Ma'am, we got a tip about illegal substances in your vehicle. Step out, please. My blood ran cold. What? I stammered. He repeated, step out. I knew I was clean. I'd never touched anything illegal. But his tone, like this was already decided, made my hands shake as I complied. They searched my car and found a bag of drugs under my seat. I'd never seen it before, but I knew instantly who was behind it. I kept repeating, that's not mine. Someone planted it. They took me to the station for questioning, not under arrest, but close. I was terrified, my life hanging by a thread. Then an officer mentioned security cameras in the lot where I'd parked. I nearly collapsed with hope. Reviewing the footage felt like an eternity, each second excruciating. If the cameras failed, I could lose my job, my reputation, everything. But then an officer said, got something. There on the screen was Nathan, casually slipping the bag under my seat, glancing around like it was nothing. I wanted to scream, laugh, cry, all at once. The officers exchanged looks. She's free to go, one said. We'll need to bring him in. I sat there, numb, as they arrested Nathan. He didn't fight, didn't explain. I could already see how this would play out. He'd play the victim, blame his illness, and my parents would downplay it. Sure enough, my parents arrived at the station, furious, not at Nathan, but at me. My mom wailed, loud enough for everyone to hear, he's sick. He wasn't thinking. My dad cornered me, his voice low and venomous. This is your fault. You pushed him to this. I stared, incredulous. You saw the video? He tried to frame me, and you're blaming me. My mom snapped, if you'd done what you were supposed to, he wouldn't have had to. Watching them defend him, even now, broke something in me. I'd spent years feeling inadequate, thinking if I was better, they'd love me like they loved Nathan. But here was proof my brother tried to ruin me, and they still chose him. I was never going to be enough. I turned to my mom, my voice steady. You did this. You made him this way. Her tears stopped, her act faltering. What are you talking about? She said, playing innocent. I stepped closer. Aunt Claire told me. I know why you had me. Her face changed, the mask slipping. My dad froze. I don't know what she said, but she's always tried to turn you against us, my mom deflected. I laughed, cold and sharp. Really? That's your story. I pressed. Tell me the truth. Was I born just to save Nathan? They didn't answer. The silence was deafening. My mom lifted her chin, defiant. We did what we had to. You wouldn't exist without Nathan. The words cut deeper than I expected. I knew the truth, but hearing her say it so casually, like I was irrational for caring, broke me. I looked at my dad, hoping for a hint of regret. Nothing. We saved his life, he said flatly. That was the goal. So that's it, I said, more to myself. I was just a means to an end? My mom sighed, exasperated. We raised you, gave you everything, school, clothes, a home. And now, when it's your turn to give back, you abandon us. I shook my head. Abandon you? You didn't want me. You needed me. An officer interrupted. If you're done, we have charges to process. My mom spun to them, desperate. My son was desperate. He didn't mean it. The officer didn't flinch. The footage is clear, ma'am. My dad tried a new tactic, lowering his voice. Can we settle this quietly? No need to escalate. He was bargaining, like Nathan's crime was a minor inconvenience. That was my breaking point. I turned to the officer. I want to press charges. My mom gasped. Lily, you wouldn't. I didn't waver. I would. My dad warned, you're making a mistake. I met his gaze. No. The mistake was thinking you ever cared about me. And I walked away. It's been over a year since that night. I'm still learning to live without them. At first, it felt like I was waiting for them to pull me back into their world. But the longer I stayed away, the clearer it became. They'd never change. I'd just been blind to it. Nathan stayed in prison. My parents pulled every string to free him, but their resources were drained from years of prioritizing him. I thought they'd back off once reality hit. Instead, they started a crowdfunding campaign. My mom wove a story of betrayal, painting me as the cruel daughter who abandoned her dying brother, wrongfully accused. Distant relatives, acquaintances, even strangers donated, leaving comments condemning me. I could have let them self-destruct. But one night, Claire looked at me and said, "We should talk to your old doctor." I was confused. "What doctor?" "Your childhood one," she said. "He might have proof." I didn't think I needed proof. I knew the truth. But if there was evidence, it could stop their lies for good. We found Dr. Ellis, long retired. When we explained, he agreed to meet. I expected minor details, maybe confirmation I wasn't crazy. Instead, he dropped a bombshell. I wasn't their second child. I was their fourth attempt. They'd conceived 3 embryos before me, terminating each when tests showed they weren't a match for Nathan. They weren't building a family, they were engineering a donor. I felt sick. I'd hoped, despite everything, that there was some love in their actions. But I was just the first success. A means to an end. Claire held my hand as Dr. Ellis gave me records, files my parents never thought I'd see. I made a choice. I sent everything to the authorities. The investigation snowballed. The fertility doctor lost his license, and it turned out my parents weren't alone. Other families had created donor babies too. The scandal exploded, and my parents lost everything. The crowdfunding stopped, supporters vanished, their reputation collapsed. They didn't apologize. They called it a conspiracy, claimed they were victims. Nathan stayed locked up, still acting blameless. I thought they'd fade away, but they had one last trick. My cousin Emily called, frantic. "Lily, Nathan tried to kill himself. Your mom posted about it. He's critical. She says if you care at all, you'll visit." My heart sank. What if it was true? Despite everything, I couldn't ignore it. So I called the prison, keeping it simple. "Is my brother alive?" The officer sounded bored. "Yeah, he's fine." I exhaled. "Is he critical?" A pause. Not even close. They'd faked it, a desperate attempt to guilt me back. I wasn't shocked, just exhausted. They'd never cared about honesty, only control. I didn't respond. I sent the post to the authorities. Within days, my parents were done. Family cut them off. Friends disappeared. My mom deleted her accounts. My dad stopped fighting. It's been over a year, and my life is unrecognizable. I moved to a new city, started a new job, and for the first time, I feel like I belong. I'm engaged to James, who knows every painful detail of my past and loves me anyway, not as a tragedy, but as me. And the biggest news? I'm pregnant. At first, I was terrified I'd fail as a parent, that I'd somehow repeat my parents' mistakes. But James said, "You know exactly what not to do." He's right. My child will never doubt they're wanted. They'll never fight for my love. They'll never be a tool for someone else. They'll be cherished wholly, unconditionally. I didn't come from a real family, but I'm building one, and for the first time, I'm truly free.